If something feels wrong to you, question it. And don't be afraid to stir things up or whatever. Because just going along with stuff that doesn't align with your values and feeling awful about it, it's just, no, don't be quiet. Be loud.
You are not dripping out of the pipeline. You are not a drip. You are a whole, healthy human being going on a different path, and sucks for the plumbing that they didn't decide to keep you there.
It's not a failure to find out that you don't want to do something. Like realizing that this isn't a good fit and changing paths is not failure. That's good.
Even if you choose to do nothing else for the rest of your life and you just choose to make yourself happy and be a good person, that would be enough.
Today on Science with Impact.
We're here today to talk about alt academia. What advice do you want to give somebody who's in graduate school, is seeing things that maybe are worrying them about pursuing a career as a formal tenure track assistant professor, or even in industry as a whole, and is looking for advice or guidance or questions to ask or look at? I'd love if Adri would open with their response first.
Sure. So, in thinking about this question and advice, I would give both my past self or like someone who's in their final years of grad school right now. I've actually been thinking about it a lot because a lot of TikToks have come across my For You page of grad students in school right now, just talking about how they're struggling and having a hard time. And so I've been thinking about this. What would I say? And I think the biggest thing I see, and I feel like I felt this pressure too, is don't feel pressured to pursue academia if you don't want to. And it doesn't make you any less of a person. It has no impact on your value as a person, and that you should really follow the thing that's going to be good for you in your life. I feel like when I was in grad school, there was also a part of me that felt pressured to stay in academia because we need more representation. There was always that like representation, and like you feel the pressure to be that person. You're like, I have to, because I'm trying to like bring other people up with me. So I need to like be the representation, not at the cost of yourself, not at the cost of your well-being as a human. And I feel like a lot of time we do that. People of color at the cost of their well-being and like just being okay, pursue these things, even though it may not really be aligned with like our lives and what we actually want and value. And so it's not to discourage people, because I feel like grad students just got to pursue like the thing that's going to make you happy. And if you feel like the cost is worth it to pursue and stay in academia, to do it. But if you don't feel like it's going to serve you, use what you learned in grad school, get that degree or whatever it is you need to do, and go elsewhere. And that's okay. And not to feel bad about it. That's like the biggest one. Don't feel bad about it. Don't be afraid to push and to question things. If something doesn't seem right to you, talk about it, bring it up. If something feels wrong, because that's like what I would tell myself. I feel like I did do a lot of questioning, but if something feels wrong to you, question it. And don't be afraid to stir things up or whatever. Because just going along with stuff that doesn't align with your values and feeling awful about it, it's just, no, don't be quiet. Be loud. Be loud. And be willing to leave. If it's time to leave, leave. It's okay. And you're not your fault, and you're not a bad person, and you're not less than a person. But that's like my biggest thing I think I have. And I can pass it on to my others, friends here.
Yeah, I'd love to hear Melissa's response to this and then Morgan's. And for the next question, I'd like to go the opposite direction, if that's okay. Just lead with Morgan, go to Melissa, and go to Adri.
Mine was actually
How do we
very
feel about
similar
that?
to what Adri said. Actually, I very recently
Cool.
had a friend who was in grad school and he just had mental health stuff, could barely even get out of bed. And I told them that if they never worked on their dissertation another day, it wouldn't change how I loved them or how I cared about them or anything about their value as a person or their worthy of love inherently. And so I think that goes really closely with what Adri was saying.
I share a lot of the sentiments that Adri had, and I'm going to be that person and answer the question that you didn't ask, because I don't feel like I have a lot of advice to give to someone in grad school. What I have is reassurance, because that was what I needed, is that much like Adri was saying, you're not a bad person, you're not a failure. You are, those feelings that you have about what is right and what is wrong and what is and isn't valuable are all valid and good things to be thinking about. And the fact that you're in academia means that you are surrounded by people who have chosen a particular set of values, that your values are not less than. You are not, and I go on this rant a lot, but you are not dripping out of the pipeline. You are not a drip. You are a whole, healthy human being going on a different path, and sucks for the plumbing that they didn't decide to keep you there. Like, that's not something that reflects on you. And I guess the advice that goes with that I am just putting together now is really to find the people who share those values, because they will be the people who can help you navigate into the next steps. When I went into an internship program for teaching and found all of these people who did the same things that I did and cared about the same things that I cared about, they were able to help guide me towards the next steps. When I went to my first Chem Ed conference, my goodness, and I got so excited because people were having conversations I cared about. It was so cool. And taking that step was huge. And so finding those people is not only good for you spiritually and mentally, it will also be the way that you can take the steps forward for whatever path you want to take.
I do have friends right now who are struggling in grad school, and the advice I gave to them is much like what Morgan said, is not really advice, but more reassurance that if they never worked on their dissertation ever again, that I would still love them and respect them, and it wouldn't change anything about their value as a person or their potential to have amazing careers in the future. I think we get in this very focused world that the PhD is the end all be all, and we tie so much of our self-worth into it because we spend so much time in it. But if you can zoom out a little, our lives are so much bigger than that. PhDs is not the thing that gives us value. It's not finishing grad school. It's not staying in academia. It's who you are as a person and the way you treat other people. And those are the things that matter. And you are inherently worthy and lovable just the way that you are, to quote Mr. Rogers. That's the biggest thing I think I have. And then also that it's not a failure to find out that you don't want to do something. Like realizing that this isn't a good fit and changing paths is not failure. That's good, because you're moving towards the thing that you will find a lot of life in, that's very life-giving, and that you're working towards the things you want. That's always a success, even if it means deciding not to be doing the thing that you thought you would be doing. I think those are my two biggest pieces of advice.
I love that. Heard most of it, Melissa.
So yay.
That one, for me, what I noticed was most helpful in my journey was really paying attention to how my brain and my body were responding to different situations. I grew up in a way that made me feel like I had to ignore those and that they didn't matter. And so it was hard for me initially to connect with what my body was saying about different situations, and to really be able to feel that was hard. It still is hard. Interoception's not my strength. I'm autistic and I struggle with that. But to really try and watch when you just feel so exhausted, when you're getting in the car and you start it up and the thought of going where you need to go makes you cry, when you are excited, like something that genuinely is exciting you, try to figure out why. Really try to figure out why things are upsetting and exciting you. And don't just take it as you're not strong enough or you're not this enough or whatever narrative, or comparing yourself to the way other people are functioning in those spaces isn't going to help you figure out what you need. So that's a big one for me. And then the other thing is, when you get into the program, ideally as soon as possible, as soon as you're hearing this, be very open to the fact that not all PhD programs are made for you and not all advisors are right for you. And that it's okay to switch it up, to change it. I think every single one of us at one point were in one path and decided No, let's switch over here. Every single one of us started out in bench science and bench chemistry or biochemistry, and then all of us decided at some point, you know what? Let me try this. I really have a passion for education. I notice that when I'm talking about education, it makes me feel more impassioned. I notice that I get really frustrated in classes that are taught poorly. Like when you start feeling those signs of like your body being like this, you could do something else. Have faith that something else exists. Look it up, search for it, talk to people, because chances are you're not the first person to feel that way. And you could find a better program, a better advisor, and a better state and a better scenario that suits your needs than what you first found. Don't pick up the first program, the first thing that you found, and feel like you have to run that all the way down to the inevitable end of getting a PhD. Granted, that comes with a lot of privilege because that's a lot of moving, that's a lot of finances, that's a lot of application fees. But I think that if you go into it understanding that not every match is going to be a fit, then you'd be a lot less worried about feeling like a failure and a lot more focused on finding the right fit for you. And I don't just mean that in a graduate school program sense. I mean that with every career, every job, every relationship and environment that you're in. Like just because it's a match doesn't mean it has to be a fit.
Something I'd love to add to that, being that my current research is interviewing faculty members for doctoral education, is a lot of time you're not the problem. I have heard faculty members say very problematic things and have very problematic views about their students. And so if you're feeling like, oh, this isn't working, I must be doing something wrong, there's a very high possibility that you're not the one doing something wrong and that it could be the faculty member in the situation. So like also take that as an encouragement. Like what you said, it's just because you matched initially, it might not be a good fit and it's not your fault a lot of times. So that's something I want to add as well.
Any other thoughts we want to tie to that?
I guess hearing you talk, Vanessa, the other piece that I hadn't thought about is the reaffirmation that there is something else out there and to go look for those things. Because I know for me in bench chemistry, we were very clearly told you can go be a professor, you can go into industry, or if you suck at life, you can go teach and not do any research. It more or less the vibes we got. But that was pretty much it. And so I didn't know what my other options were. The trick is the other options don't fit into neat boxes, but they do exist. That if you keep looking and keep talking to people and find people who you're like, oh, you sound interesting. What do you do? I like what you do. Can you tell me more? That will help get you where you want.
Yeah, I really like what Morgan said of finding, like, there are other things out there that you can find, like, to do that will make you happy or that you would enjoy doing. I think the other thing is, like, we really stuck in, like, those two options of, like, industry or academia, and then maybe there's something already out there that might be better that's not either of those two things. But I think something that we could do even more of, and I talked about this with Vanessa earlier a little bit, is just, like, imagining, like, what new thing could be out there that, like, maybe it doesn't exist yet, but what's that thing? What's that thing that you would want to do? Maybe it doesn't exist, but what is it? And like just start like ideating and imagining that and really thinking outside of our current systems and just like being like, to be able to do that is so empowering and transformative. Just to imagine, what would I want to do in a perfect world? What would make me happy? Something that I would want to spend some of my time doing. That could be an enriching part of my life. And like for me, when I think about something out like that, I think about like somewhere where education is free, somewhere where we're not gatekeeping knowledge. And I'm always like, oh, I wish something like that existed that was actually a thing. And then I moved here and I found that actually is a thing. That there are nonprofit educational institutions that work outside of universities, that work outside of K-12 education, that are open to anyone and everyone. And it's something that I've never seen before in my life. It's the Portland Underground Graduate School. And it's literally a school run by the community, and people just put on classes of things they think are interesting. And there are people that work there that I'm assuming like coordinate these events, but it's something that it's been on my mind of I wish something like that existed. And I just very recently found it. And it was just so wild. Oh my God, this thing that I want exists. This thing that I think is really cool exists. And I think just like imagining those things, even if you don't know about them yet, maybe you'll find them. Maybe you'll make them yourself, you know? Maybe you'll find other people who are like-minded and you can create those things. But until I really started letting myself like imagine something else, it was really hard to see what I could even do. I felt like
I
really
think
stuck,
that's similar
you know?
to my experience with the
But yeah.
podcast was like I was imagining that this thing would be so cool and it ended up being like, then you should do it. And so I do think that the idea of remembering why we loved this thing in the first place and what drew us to it initially, and then what do you spend your time daydreaming about what your job could be, maybe try it. So I think that was really powerful advice, Adri.
I love all that. I love the idea of making a list of what you're looking for just to help it be more clear. Looking for that and hoping that could exist, and if not, creating it. I really love all of those main like talking points, and exploring that is brilliant. I'll also say that there was a lot of wisdom in my highest and lowest moments, and those go deep. Some of my earliest memories had clues as to what would be best suited for me in the future. So be willing to sit with your highest and lowest moments in your life and try to find the pattern or the story that's in there, the lesson that you're not learning, the strength that you're not recognizing, or the weakness that you can heal. See, man, I wish that I had connected those dots younger. For me, it was just a profound love of science. And it started as a coping mechanism, it started as a self defense approach. But that love for science never stopped. A love for seeing and looking and consuming beautiful things like infographics and data visualizations and graphic elements. Like, I find that really fun and fascinating to design. Having rich conversations with people that go beyond the weather's looking nice today, like those sorts of things. Just all these little clues that left a trail that I could follow if I just had the wisdom to look back on them and really think about them. Just to add thoughts. Listen to your body is really the whole point.
It's true. The weather is nice today.
All right. So I feel like we have time, if that's okay, to take one more idea and play with it. How do you three feel about that? Okay. So in all of our conversations, like I mentioned, freedom, personhood, and impact came up. I imagine that those will become 3 big blaring flags to look for when you're deciding on a career or some sort of future for yourself. What I'd love to play with is the idea of what do those things look like for you? How do you find them? How does that manifest in a career? What skill sets inform those things? I know that's a big thing to chew on, and I wish I could give you a tinier piece of it. But feel free to take literally any little facet of that and explore it, because I think a conversation like that would be really interesting. And that can come and go.
Can
Who
you
mutes
just
and
say
unmutes?
what you said again?
Can you remind me of this?
Absolutely. So the 3 things that I noticed all of us said directed us to this alt academic career were freedom, meaning like freedom to do what you want to do for work and also like outside of work. Personhood, which means having a person, like an identity outside of your career, and having space to love people and to love hobbies beyond your career. And then impact, which came across a lot of, I feel like I'm spinning the academic wheel, but I'm not making an impact that's direct and tangible. Does that help?
Yeah. And your question is, what does that look like practically in each of our positions right now? Is that part of what you were asking?
That's definitely a facet of it. What does it look like in your position now? Did you find it? What skills did help you find it? Like that sort of thing is exactly what I'd love to chew on.
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to start talking about this because this is something that really excites me about my current position. Because if we go down that list, starting with freedom, I get to just pick my projects. I get requests from all over the university and I get to pick which ones are important to me. My boss has literally said to me, it's one of his mottos, that there is an infinite amount of work to be done. And so we should choose the stuff that we're interested in. And then gives me the freedom to do that, which is amazing. I don't have to do things that aren't interesting to me. And then I get to decide who I want to communicate that to and how. It doesn't have to go into a journal. It can become a meeting. It can become an infographic. It can become a web page or a dashboard. It can become a symposium if I decide that's where I want it to be. And that's really cool. The other part of freedom, and I think this is going to overlap with personhood a little bit, is it gave me the freedom to pick where I live. Because for academic jobs, for tenure track jobs, you have to go where you get accepted. I'm not saying that's always the case, but that is a strong influence where you don't really get that many options. If I'm like, I just want something else, anything else, because I've built a community here and I want to stay with that community and not completely uproot myself. And so, yeah, I still have my family within a 40-minute drive. I still have friends that I made at my ballet studio. I still have the friends that I made in high school and the ones that I made when I came home and stayed with my family during college. And I still get to talk to them and go to the events that I enjoy going to with them. And so that's what freedom looks like for me right now. In terms of personhood, I get to continue with my ballet. That's something that's really important to me, and an identity that's really important to me. And the fact that I get to say, no, I'm not available on the weekends. No, I will not be going to a conference. I will not be doing this. I have class after work, and no, you may not contact me after 5. I will not be available. And everybody expects that, which is very nice. And similarly, if there's something happening, say I have a performance coming up, it's okay to take a couple of hours. My boss goes, yeah, that's fine. You throw in a few hours somewhere else. And then when there is a conference that has hours on the weekend, we go, okay, it came out in the wash. We're good. And that's okay. And then the last one in terms of impact is also something I'm really excited about, because in that picking my projects, I get to pick who I want to impact and how. One of the things that I'm working on right now is about how we report out our students' race and ethnicity information. I hope by the end of this project that the impact will be that our students feel seen and feel like their identity is important to the university. And that impact is really important to me. And then on the flip side, I have something that could potentially impact access on a more administrative level. The other project I'm working on right now is about course scheduling and about which courses students take in different departments at the same time, so that the departments can coordinate with each other and say, oh, hey, all of the Gen Chem kids are also taking introductory biology or whatever. And maybe we shouldn't put those on top of each other. And maybe we should put them close enough together so that people who are commuting don't have to be here multiple days of the week. And so I get to take things that are really practical as well as really fulfilling and do that instead of feel really disconnected from my work. I'm very deliberately avoiding saying throwing things into the ether, because I don't think that's what publishing in journals is, but it is what it feels like to me, because I am disconnected from that impact. That's how those things manifest in my current position. And like I said, that makes me really happy, so I can talk a lot about it, but I'm going to let someone else
I actually
talk now.
feel like the end of what you said there about like sometimes feeling like academia is just putting things into the ether and nothing's happening. I definitely feel that way. And currently I'm finishing up a postdoc, which is very traditional academia. And it's about work that I feel is really important, but I've had such a hard time motivating myself to do it. And I think some of that is, it's like, this work is so important. I really want it to be published. I want people to know about it. But sometimes I question, is this really even going to do anything? Or am I just reading these quotes of this like really messed up academic system that is actively hurting students, and then I'm not going to be able to change anything? It's something that I think is hard for me to stay motivated in my current position, and it doesn't just impact my work, because then if I'm not getting my work done, it bleeds over into, okay, later in the day, maybe I'll finally be able to motivate myself. And that bleeds into dinner time, and that impacts my dinner with my spouse. And then that will impact my sleep if I decide to not do it and then do it later. Like it just is this whole snowball effect because I don't have a lot of passion and joy in my work. And I think that is one of the biggest things that I'm in the process of pursuing. And I've started in some areas and in others, like putting together the career that I want is I can't have one that doesn't give me the freedom to find joy in my work. Because if I'm not finding joy in my work, I'm not able to be a person. And a lot of that is the impact. So those things are very much related for me as I need to feel like I'm making an impact to have the joy that allows me to be a person. And academic freedom is a way to do that, or freedom in what you're working on is a way to do that. And I think that's just something that I've been thinking about a lot as I'm on the job search is I really want something that does tick all those boxes because I can see the negative impact in every area of my life when I don't have those. And so I think I'm an amorphous case because I'm not like settled into a career right now. I'm like, I've done the podcast and we're like starting to make money for that and like looking for a teaching job so that I can have the freedom to teach but not be locked into this like research cycle. And so I'm like trying to find my job. So it's amorphous, but I definitely see the opposite playing out in the role I'm in now. So maybe Adri, you're in a position now, so I'd be really interested to see how you also connect with that.
So, as far as the way my story kind of related to that freedom aspect that I didn't mention earlier when I was talking to Vanessa is that I pick a place to live because I wanted to live there. And I did not look for a job and then let that job take me to a place. I genuinely visited places, which was really nice that I did get to at least do a little bit of that. I visited here one time and really liked it and was like, I want to move here and I'll figure out a job later because me as a person is more important than finding a career, pursuing a career, having a like capital job. Like I was like, I want to go somewhere that's going to feed my soul and make me feel good as a person. And then the job will figure itself out because I will at least be happy in my life. And I don't want my job to be the main focus of my life. I want it to be a part of my life, but not a main focus. So that was like how I came to like where I am now is that I was like, okay, I'm not going to focus too much on finding the job. I want to be able to make sure I go somewhere that like I feel safe, that I feel happy, that I feel like cared for, that I enjoy being there as a person. And then after that, the job part fell into place, which I know is like a very privileged place to come from. Because that's not always like really easy to find like a job in general. But I, at this point, I knew what my strengths were. I know what my CV looks like. I knew like what I might be aligned with. And then this job just popped up randomly and it ended up working out. And now I'm really enjoying it because it's a job where I go there, I do like my 8 hours. I generally enjoy it. I have a good time. I like it. It's interesting. And then I get to come home and do all my other stuff. And I feel so enriched, like in all aspects of my life. So having the freedom to just be a person first, because in like my whole life, I don't think I've been a person first. I've always been a student, a worker, whatever else. It's super dehumanizing. And for the first time, I was like, I'm a person and I'm a person who needs like certain things to be alive. And like I got to be a person first, and then I was able to figure out a way, obviously, to sustain myself in the capitalist system. But it wasn't like centering my whole world in a job, and that's the freedom of it. And then just the personhood, and then the impact is that I'm actually doing a job that contributes to the community. That, as far as I can tell so far, listens to the community and creates things that the community is interested in and that is enriching and empowering for the community. And that's not a thing that I felt I was able to do before, that now I like really feel like I'm doing something like impactful, but it's not my whole life. And I'm contributing and living in the community in other ways too that are outside of my job. And it's just cool new. Treating yourself like a person could just like change things. Yeah.
I love that. For me and my cascade of those three things, I really wish that when we talk to young people and we ask them what do they want to do when they grow up, when I know we talked about this in a few of our conversations. I wish that we when we ask them like, what do you want to be when you grow up, that we didn't mean what job that they want to work. I wish that we would ask it in a way to leave space for who do you want to be when you grow up? Where do you want to live? How do you want to live? Who do you want to work for? Do you want to work for anyone? Who do you want to serve? What talents do you want to provide the world? There's just so many better versions of that question than what job title do you want when you get older. I think it sets us up to focus on that, to really focus on like, how am I going to fit into the cog of this machine without recognizing that we're unique individuals and have needs and wants beyond fitting in the machine. So all that being said, in terms of freedom, I think I went pretty extreme. I decided to create my own thing and to create a business, and that comes with a lot of freedom and a lot of risk. And I have a lot of privilege to be able to pull that off the way I have. I also fell into it completely by accident, which is very lucky and privileged. I was going to be an administrator in academia because I thought that's where I would have the most impact. I got to do 9 months of that and realized that it wasn't what I thought. And then a change in life circumstances meant that I couldn't move my whole family and uproot my whole family to go to where this place was. And that led to them going, if you can't move, then you can't work this job, which was fair. I had 6 weeks to find another position, which anyone in academia knows that's a really tight timeline. I put out a tweet and was like, I need something, please. Here's my skill set. This is what I can do for anyone. I can write papers. I can do figures. Like, somebody connect me to someone, please. I need help. I have to feed a family. I'm the sole provider for my child. But those 3 contracts that emerged out of that desperate tweet, I still have today, and I still benefit nurture those relationships. And the company is shifting gears from focusing on publishing and focusing solely on helping scientists translate their research into broader impacts. NSF gives funding for that. It's important to NSF, the National Science Foundation, that scientists translate their research into impactful things. And I've noticed that a lot of the time, and scientists are very straightforward about this, that it turns into checkboxes. It turns into what's the minimum we can do, because we are still focused on being exceptional scientists and publishing and getting citations. What's the minimum I can do to meet this annoying requirement of broader impacts? It's often treated that way. And I think it would be even better if there was a place they could go to that has like a coalition of people who are constantly generating and testing ideas for broader impacts that are sustainable, measurable, impactful, and can advance equity and justice. And that for me feels like where I can make the biggest impact. So that's the direction we're headed next. It'll probably change 6 months down the road from now on. It changes all the time. That's part of the freedoms. I can build whatever machine I want to work in this whole system. In terms of personhood, I've learned that more than anything. The last 2 years have been just life just keeps slapping me in the face with that lesson. And is, you're a person, be a person. It keeps reminding me of that. I have kids, I have a husband, I have beyond that, I just have my own interests and my own needs, and getting to nourish those for the first time and to set time aside specifically for it, that's unique. And that's not something that you can get in every career. And in terms of impact, I don't know, I guess we'll see. It could all fail and then I could go work anywhere. But really, my impact is with my kids and with me. And I'm feeling really good about that impact right now. And I think that's enough for now. So maybe be a person and find out what's enough for you. Go ahead, Morgan.
Important to highlight, though, the impact doesn't have to be on the scientific community. That impact on your family is an important impact in and of itself.
Absolutely. And impact on you. You matter. How something impacts you matters. Anyway, that was mine. And I'm so glad, Morgan, thank you for shaping it into something tangible. You're so great at that. You have a gift for taking my like rambling, here's a ball of yarn that's tangled, I don't know what to do with this. And you're like, let's organize it like the You're incredible.
Always got to be organized.
I love it. And Melissa, you're so empathetic and personable and warm. It's so nice to see how you connect things. And Adri, you're so clearly dedicated to advancing equity. You're so clearly dedicated to living your best, fullest life. And that dedication, I know, has not been easy to come across. So I just wanted to compliment each of you in something that really is beautiful and unique about all of you.
Oh, I'm like getting emotional. Like I might cry. This has been such like a wonderful conversation, and it's just so nice to connect with y'all and hear what your experience has been like, and just like how similar we all are. And I don't know, it's so cool. Like we're not alone. We are a community, and it just feels really good.
I'm so
Yeah.
glad.
Almost like we're not less than for choosing another career path.
Exactly.
Right? I know, but it's like you need to hear it from
Yeah.
other people every now and
Yeah,
then.
and I feel like this whole
Yeah.
series of conversations has really impacted also just me. I have loved hearing from all of you, and these conversations have been really powerful and encouraged me on my job search to be really particular about putting my personhood first and not pursuing something that doesn't make me genuinely excited about working again. So thanks. Thanks for leading this, Vanessa.
Thanks for trusting me with your stories. And yeah, I'm excited to see, even if this doesn't help anybody else on the internet, I'm just really glad that it helped us because I had a great time.
No, I've had a wonderful time, so thank you. This has been so much fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. I'm trying to create a hashtag in my mind for us, and it's really long. It's like hashtag doctors who are neurodivergent femmes in STEM who have decided to do other shit and want to be people.
We could
Hashtag-
do hashtag
You are not a
freedom,
drip.
hashtag personhood. Oh, I love you are not a drip. I love that.
I love hashtag you are not a drip.
Perfect.
Well, I mean, if we're talking in biology, I don't know. That's arguable in a biological sense, but okay, in the broader context, sure, we're not a drip. I love all of you, and I'm excited to see what you make of your careers. But even if you choose to do nothing else for the rest of your life and you just choose to make yourself happy and be a good person, that would be enough.
Same.
What about hashtag more than my PhD?
Oh,
Ooh, I like that. I like you are not a drip, though, to be fair.
You both.
I didn't mean to ruin it with a sperm reference.
I love it.
Okay. I understand. I totally get how that could ruin it. I also really like you are not a drip. I think it's great.
I love it.
I will tell my children that. All right, guys. I'm going to stop recording now. Here we go. If you guys want to just say bye or sign off however you want. We could be obnoxious and be like, hit that smash and like button and brr, brr, brr. I don't know, whatever people say.
Rate, review, subscribe. Available wherever you get your
The expert on
podcast.
this one.
Rate, review. Don't forget to hit that bell for the notification. I don't say any of that on this podcast. It's not my job.
Of yourself, and thanks for listening.
Adri, what would you like your outro to be?
Intros are so hard. I already don't know how to end conversations in general.
On the podcast,
I think it's a great
lately
outro
we've
right
been
there.
saying like,
lately
we've been saying like, yay, whatever the subject matter is. Yay, alt ag. Yay, you're more than your PhD. Yay, you're not a drip. Yay, personhood.
Yay, personhood.
One of my favorite podcasts ends with just like a fade out of them having recording
Nice.
conversation, so they don't ever have
That's
to come up with
good.
their ending.
Ooh,
love that.
That's
I love that.
smart.
Yeah.
Those people are smart.